Hi, and welcome to FrazlCast. Climb aboard the GNOME train.
Chugga 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 chugga.
Please make sure to keep your limbs and experimental instruments inside the train at all times. And now, on with the show.
A podcast by a Blizzard fan gnome about World of Warcraft and geeky stuff. I promise you, they do talk about the World of Warcraft. They just go off the rails sometimes.
Well, I am Frazley, and I am joined by the amazing EJ and Raven of Girls Gone WoW! It is so glad to have you both here today. Wow.
This is awesome. Thank you.
Nice to be here.
I remember that I put on the schedule back in October when I got the honor of having dinner with the both of you and sitting next to Matt Rossi. And now the time of the recording has finally arrived.
That was quite a surreal evening that sort of happened out of nowhere, and it's like, and now we're having dinner with all these amazing people. This is okay. If this is what BlizzCon is, brilliant.
And I was just talking with Joe Hogan last week, and he was talking about he was such raving about how both of you are amazing. He had such a great time with the both of you. Going from BlizzCon to another meetup for Girls Gone WoW.
So we arrived at BlizzCon last year. We arrived in California on the Wednesday, so straight into LAX, which was terrifing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Absolutely terrifying. So we did a 12-hour flight, and obviously it's very expensive from the UK. So we did a 12-hour flight with a company called Norwegian, who do basically budget long-haul flights. Gonna have to say that was not the most comfortable 12 hours I've ever had in my entire life. But so we landed in LAX, and it's like, okay, this is real. And we bumped into somebody at LAX that we knew from the Discworld convention, which was just like
weird.
I mean, obviously they were in town for BlizzCon, but it was just a bit like, okay, this is weird. And then Joe picked us up from the airport, and he was with us all weekend at BlizzCon. And then after, on the Sunday, we went back to Palm Springs, which is where Joe lives, and we spent 3 days in Palm Springs with him and his husband and his wonderful dog.
Oh,
and we just chilled out, and it was really nice. They took us to great brunch places, and we had great dinner, and we went up the skyway I went up onto the mountain, and it was really, really amazing to chill out with Joe. And then, we went to Minneapolis to meet there's a big Girls Gone WoW crew in Minneapolis. So then we went and spent nearly a week hanging out in Minneapolis with a whole bunch of amazing people.
I have to say, you have one of the best communities, because both positive and inclusive.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have to say again, I love how you stood up for your correspondence. I already respected you, but I respected you even more after that.
Thank you.
Don't come after our community members. We won't be having any of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you're that person who went after their correspondent and you listen to this, please stop listening to this show. I will not put up for that here either.
No, we 100% have our communities backs. We are obviously a very queer-friendly community. We're very inclusive, and it takes a lot of work actually to kind of keep that on the straight. I was going to say on the straight and narrow. I don't want to queer stuff on the straight and narrow. That's what?
Sorry, Anne, for the pun. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Anne. This is a Girls Gone WoW thing. We have to apologise to Anne every time we make a pun.
Yes. Okay. Then I gotta. So we'll have to make Anne's life miserable today during the. Sorry, Anne.
Sorry, Anne. It takes effort to manage the community in the way that we want it to be, but we are very happy to put the time in, and we love every single one of our community members.
And one person in the overall Bush community that I have gotten to know is Epic and Sandy, and he has a role every episode. Epic and Sandy, what time is it?
It's time to go around the table.
Great idea. So what have you been up to recently? We will start with EJ.
Oh, it's so exciting. I made a noise last night that my husband doesn't think he's ever heard me make. And he sort of came downstairs and he's like, what was that? And I'm like, oh, is that me sitting on top of Invincible?
Nice!
Yes, it might be. I don't think
your mount luck has rubbed off on EJ. Hooray!
I do not think I've ever made that noise. My body was just like,
Yeah, Oh, congratulations! Wow.
Thank you. And the only reason I went last night, because I have been doing I have been doing that kill religiously this year, every week. Except I stopped a few weeks ago because I've been having a bad sort of brain space. And the reason I went was because you had gone this week, and I'm like, right, I'm going to channel Frazley, I'm going to go. And so actually, thank you, Frazley, because if you hadn't reported on your week, I wouldn't have gone this week. So it's all down to you that I have got Invincible, I've decided.
I've been doing it and I'll add it on to what you said. Like, I got Invincible this week on Tuesday, and I've been doing Twitter every single day. And fun fact, but not fun fact, if you turn off Real ID on WoW, you can no longer use Twitter function. So I have to now do it externally. That's a function I'm trying to now campaign for Blizzard to relax a little bit, because I'm now on the camp that if you don't want Real ID, you shouldn't have to use it. But yeah, no, I got Invincible, and like every week I've been showing people my campaign for that. So nice, 2 Invincibles in 1 week.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I should go run Ice Crown in a minute.
Yeah. So the other reason I was sort of feeling on a roll was because we'd had our casual raid night. I'll let Raven talk about that. And after that, I was like, I was still feeling in fact, I was feeling really energized after that. And I'm like, you know what? The other thing I've been doing each week is trying to find a pug run to go and kill Jaina on Mythic. Because obviously at the moment, there's a chance of 2 of those mounts dropping on the Jaina kill. And a lot of runs won't take you unless you've got the achievement for killing. It's one of those sort of vicious cycles of like, so I need to get into a group and kill her on Mythic so that I can get into groups so I've got the achievement. Yes. Yeah. So thankfully, there were 2 up, and I was like, which one do I pick? And I picked the one, I just decided I was going to pick the one that was led by a Russian WoW player, because I just had it into my head they were going to be more organised. Because I've done PvP. Russian PvP groups are always organised. So I'm like, right, I'm going with the Russian group. So that was my plan. That was my thinking. And we had 1 attempt, and we almost got it, but didn't quite go. So we went again. Oh my goodness, the cheese tactics for doing it worked amazingly. So I got that achievement. So I can now get into all of those groups each week that I hadn't been able to get into.
Nice.
But the cheese mechanic somebody's thought about it, it's really clever. So the bit where you go down into the frozen lake bit with Jaina, and then you have that big ice wall that you have to deal with and all of that. Okay, they bypass all of that. They basically never interrupt her doing her howling wind thing that she's doing as you're running down towards her. So basically, you all stay as a group and you just burn her through the howling winds. And as ice bits come on, you just take those out as quick as possible. And I was like, is this going to work? And it totally did. So you never have to deal with the ice wall because you never activate that bit of the fight.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been reading up because people were like, oh, do you know the cheese tactic for Jaina? And I'm like, is it just murder her? But apparently this is the cheese tactic. And because everybody's so overpowered now, you can just not put her into the ice phase by not taking her out of the howling wind phase. So so I came out of that going, oh, we've got Jane. I'm like, going to kill the Lich King. And there we go. I've actually had a really good week. I'm really excited. And I'm prepped, if the servers are stable enough, to go and do some more raid testing tonight in the beta.
Nice. And how have you been enjoying the beta so far?
Since it went into beta, I've only done raid testing. So I was lucky enough to get into the alpha, so I've done a whole load of questing and did loads of... I got my sort of, thank you for being the alpha email, and it's like, you did mostly quests, and you reported lots of bugs about quests, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like me.
I really enjoyed that email. I really enjoyed that email. So for anybody who doesn't know, at the end of the alpha, when it went into beta, all of the people who'd been in the alpha, which is mostly content creators of varying types, we all got an email that was like, thank you very much for being in the alpha. And it was like, you have completed X many quests, and you did this much Torghast, and you did this, and you did that, and you reported this many bugs. And I liked that it said you reported X many unique bugs. Yes. That was nice. Like, you reported some bugs that nobody else reported, which I think actually in my case, it wasn't bugs so much as I provided some feedback in the 1 to 10 new starting experience about how much I really liked the boar riding.
Oh, yes. That was so great. I can just picture, like, I'm guessing Taryn Gregory was just rolling in laughter. I came in, his crew was just rolling with that.
I really thought it was great to send everybody an email that was like, here was the ways in which you contributed to this kind of like alpha experience. I thought that was, and we have been in alphas before, and that's the first time they've done that. So I thought I just thought it was really nice.
I had a bug with my email. I reported the bugs I did, like the first bug, busiest day and specialty, but every one of my achievements was 0.
Oh yeah, it said I'd only done like 4 floors in Torghast, and I was like, mate, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of it was a bit inaccurate. I was like, no, I spent more time in Torghast than that. I promise I spent more. Like, I remember it all. I mean, maybe it was just talking about the 4 floors I did as a maid, which were a bit terrifying.
They were hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved going as like Torghast. I'm gonna love going as a warrior because there's that one anima power to slam, and like your slam increases every time you destroy a phylactery. I had one that was like 2,240% increased slam.
Okay, that's a lot of slam.
Yes, and then I end up using it on a Malrat. So it
Okay.
Yeah, I watched a video from Preach Gaming the other day, and apparently they've changed Torghast up. And it doesn't sound as fun as it was when we first started playing Torghast. So actually one of the things I want to do in the next couple of weeks is go in and provide some feedback, because it would be a real shame if it was going so well and it sounds like they've gone, oh, brilliant, people really like this. And then they sort of tried to double down on it. So the impression I got from Preach is that actually, instead of being in fear that you might not be able to complete it because you've messed up, actually it'll be, as long as you can do 2 or 3 levels, you'll be absolutely fine.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, I really hope that's not the case, because it was great the way it was. I don't think it needed tweaking that way.
no.
Yeah, I want to go run that.
It would be fun on Torghast if they could add in like for April Fool's Day, add in a bug version of Torghast for like all the bugs that we had experienced at Alpha would come back just for one day. Because like I got punted off of a walkway one time. Like if you fall, it counts for 2 deaths. They just have different. The one tester who had like 5 or 6 Mr. T's going after him.
Oh no! Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Oh.
I did into one once, and there were just no textures. And it was just like, oh, okay. It was just like being in a sea of kind of nothingness. I quite like it when you're in an alpha or in a beta and you load in and it's like, okay, I'm sure there should be some scenery.
Yeah.
And then I also like the bits where you like fall through the world and end up somewhere completely random. Always enjoy that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So Raven, what have you been up to?
Well, I've not played an awful lot of WoW this week. Just having a job now. I mean, it's kind of rubbish. I love my job, but I'm quite a senior manager in a charity in the UK, so I have quite a sort of stressful job, and this week I have been working a lot, and obviously we're working at home, which basically means, like Monday, I had a 5-hour Zoom meeting.
Oh.
So once you've spent like 5 of your 7 working hours on Zoom, I have to say the temptation to play World of Warcraft just kind of like vanishes. It's just like, do I want to sit and look at another screen at the moment? No, actually, I kind of don't. But I have played a little bit. We did some Mythic Plus on Monday night. We had the worst night in Mythic Plus on Monday night.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a regular Mythic Plus team called the Biscuiteers who play with on the Girls Go Wild Discord. And we are really reliably completing 14s in time. We just can't get over that threshold. We've got some 15s out of time, a bunch of 15s out of time. We've got a couple of 16s out of time, but we just can't bring it home. We can't get that 15 in time. And on Monday, we had 115 where we really should have got it in time. Somebody really, like, just at the final moment, somebody fucked something up and did something really stupid that they apologized for huge numbers of times, but it was just kind of like they just fucked it.
Oh,
God, we were
Got
like,
to the boss
bollocks.
and we had like 7 minutes.
We had like 7 minutes on the final boss. It all went horribly wrong. And then the second one, so we were like, okay, that's fine. We've got another one. So that was in Snack. So that was Temple of Snack. And then we had a Motherlode 15, and we like it in the Motherlode. So we went into the Motherlode, and this last week and a half, there has been a bit of an intermittent fault on my internet connection. And I looked it up on Zen the other day, and they've got like a whole load of London area codes have had a fault that should have been resolved. Basically, we're doing really, really well in Motherlode, and my internet died.
Oh!
And I'm healer.
Ravendale healer.
I'm the healer. And it was just at the end of a boss fight. And I managed, like, I wasn't offline for all that long, and I managed to get back in. And actually, there were only 2 deaths. Like, I died and the tank died, but nobody else has died. And I was like, okay, maybe we can do this. We were over time by 10 seconds.
Oh.
Actually, we won that one, technically. Because that's pure internet that got in the way.
Exactly.
10 seconds. And we had 10 seconds worth of death. And actually, obviously, they were waiting for me to come back in before they went up to do the next thing. So I caused probably like 40 seconds, maybe a minute's worth of delay, and we were only over by 10 seconds. So that was just agonizing.
Oh, I bet. Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, like, maybe this week is our week. It's a new week now. Maybe this week is our week.
Yes.
Keep an eye on our Discord, and we will definitely post if it's our week. The other thing I have done is we raid. So on a Wednesday night, we have a uber casual raid team that comes from the Girls Gone WoW Discord. And there's about somewhere between 17 and 20 people turn up every week. So it's a sort of sizable group. We've finished Nihilotha on normal. So we literally, this is the most casual thing. We raid once a week for an hour and a half. And to be honest, we don't even raid for the full hour and a half, because we have a like transmog competition at the front. So by the time we've like formed up, we raid for like just over an hour, kind of, really, once a week. And that's all we do. No, and these are people, some of the people who raid with us, like at this stage of the expansion, they are only logging in to raid with us. They're not hardcore players. We started the raid team about 3 years ago. We taught most of the people who are with us to raid. They hadn't raided at all. They didn't know what raids were about or how they worked. Uber casual. We downed N'Zoth on normal about 6 weeks ago, maybe? 8 weeks ago, something like that. Then we're a bit like, okay, what do we do for the rest of the expansion? And we've been having a go at Heroic. Now, I confess, for an uber casual group, I really didn't think Heroic was going to be much of a goer for us. Now, we do have a couple of ringers, essentially. Like, so we've got some people who are raiding with Heroic guilds who come and also raid with us just to have a bit of a kickback and have a bit of a laugh. So it's not all uber casual people, but a lot of people are uber casual. We're currently 6 out of 12 Heroic.
Wow. Nice.
Which is just hugely surprising to all of us, really.
Yeah.
And last night, we came so close to, like, this has been the agonizing week.
Yeah, this has been the so close week.
So last night we were playing with the football boss. What is the football boss?
The Dark Inquisitor.
The Dark Inquisitor. So we were doing Dark Inquisitor on Heroic. So I had 3 teams of 3 players to play football. Probably a total of 3 people had ever played football before. So I had like 1 person in each team who had played football. And then I had 2 other people in each team that had never played football before. Like, execution fights are not always our strong point, I'm going to be honest. It's just kind of like everybody's uber casual. Some of the fights are so like high precision, and like it's a struggle for people who don't play at a high level all of the time. And completely understandable. So I was a bit like, I thought this fight was going to be our downfall. We had 2-3% wipes.
Oh, wow. That's close, but yeah.
I think next week it'll be ours. Like, I think next week we can do it. Like, the first few pulls, like, so the first time we went in, it's kind of like start a really low base. So the first time we went in, we wiped because not everybody got into the, like, because it's an instant wipe if you don't get into the circles. So, like, step 1, the person needs to stand in each of the football circles. And if you don't, that's an instant wipe. Step 2, can you get to the football? Step 3, can you make the football go wherever it is that you want it to go? And obviously kicking it round and not hitting it into the pillars and not hitting it off the edge and not hitting it into the middle are very difficult. And you can lose 1 football on the Heroic fight. So if one of them goes wrong, that's okay, but the second one that goes wrong will wipe the raid. We literally went from at about 9:15, we pulled the first time and we were dead within like a minute because we didn't get 3 people in the things. And then by 10 o'clock, it was all going really well, and we had like a 3% wipe because the third group, no, not the third group, it was the first group for the second time lost the football. So I think it's doable. I think we're actually really nearly there, which is amazing. I didn't ever imagine we would get this far. So hopefully next week we will get that down, and then maybe I think probably after that I think we'll have a crack at Dragon Pants again. Yeah. She doesn't have any extra tic tacs on heroic.
Oh, okay. So just everything hits harder.
Yeah, her stuff hits pretty hard anyway. But yes, what I was informed was she doesn't have anything extra going on heroic. It's just that you need to do all of the stuff with the stacking the jam up and getting out of the breath and all of, like, it's very important that you do all of that properly. Whereas on normal, it's a little bit forgiving. So I think probably we'll have a go at Football Boss, and if we can get that down, we'll have a crack at Dragon Pants. And then probably after that, we'll have a bit of a run from the beginning again, because we've had a couple of people join in late. So then we'll have another go at gearing people up. But for an uber casual raid team, kind of amazing that we are
Absolutely.
6, pushing on the door of 7 out of heroic in Nyalotha. So amazing.
Something that you never thought you would be there, and now like this group's like there. And do I assume it's the same core group of people usually?
We have like between 17 and 20 people, but yeah, it's the same people every week. So we have a few people who come and raid with us when their main raid team has stopped raiding. So and there's a few people who raid in heroic guilds who come and raid with us after their heroic guild has finished their progression. And one of those heroic guilds is sort of tapping on the door of mythic a little bit, but like not always.
Yeah.
At this stage of an expansion, we have helpers. But actually, in a fight like the Football Boss, like I need 9 people to do that football mechanic, and it can't just be our like friendly kind of ringers that are doing that. It's got to be everyone. And obviously, should we get anyone in Nazoth, that's huge levels of personal responsibility for absolutely everyone.
Yeah,
EJ and I are both lucky enough. So I was taken to Heroic Nazoth by our guild, and EJ also has ahead of the curve. You went with like a more pug arrangement.
Yeah, I went with a pug and got it.
So
yeah,
we both got ahead of the curve, so we've seen it on Heroic. And I don't know whether our wonderful little casual group will get there. We were having a conversation in the group this week about how much people want to commit, because obviously there comes a point for very casual raiders at which it's less fun. Like what you're asking them to do, suddenly you've got to learn about your corruptions, you've got to learn about your Heart of Azeroth, you've got to learn about your cloak, you've got to learn about all of these additional mechanics, which might be then less fun for you. And if it's less fun for you, that's cool. You don't have to come. So we've got to kind of walk a little bit of a line. But we're nearly 7 out of 12 heroic, which is an amazing achievement. I'm super proud of everyone.
And it's fun seeing the underdogs come through. Like everyone's talking about the new Race for World First teams, and I don't know how I feel about the new teams that are out there.
No, I don't either.
But there's an underdog that I keep rooting for. Strawberry Puppy Kisses.
Well, we have obviously the most important race to world first in Shadowlands has already been declared. It's between Team Islia Moost in the EU, which is our European casual group, and the Shenanigans, which is our North American Discord race team. So whether you're EU or NA, it's Wednesday night raiding. Yeah, casual level. But yes, we've already. So there was a little bit of fake trash talk going on in our Discord, and one of our Twitch streams, and it's like, right, well, okay, it's a bit late to declare Race to World First now, but Shadowlands, the first raid in Shadowlands, serious business. That's where the Race to World First is. It'll last a little bit longer than the more traditional ones that you hear about. I
will follow that one because I know people who have been on both raid teams. So nice. Yeah. I've been playing a game this week that I think might be fun for your raid teams if you ever just want like something that's non-WoW. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of Fall Guys?
Oh, I've been watching videos of it. It looks hilarious.
It is. It's so cool. It's cute, and like I love how it's like those like Japanese game shows or like Ninja Warrior, and like the whole thing is you can either group with people or be by yourself, but you're just trying to see how far can I get in this show, and like and if you get eliminated, you just exit out of the game, come back in, and like you get upgrades. It is my most favorite battle royale, and I think actually it's my favorite. Whatever Overwatch's style is, like, because I don't want to say FPS, but like it's like competitive. Yeah. I like it because it's not based on shooting. Like I'm not against guns in games, but I love a game that's trying something different, and it's so much fun.
It's like sort of take like cartoon blobs and make them do Takeshi's Castle. That's like the nearest. Okay. It's like that. So like there's however many of you that start and you all set off and there might be like screens that you have to get through that are moving or things that you have to jump over. One I watched was like giant pieces of fruit falling out of the sky and you were trying to run up a slope.
Yes.
And then each level, like, I don't know how many they start with. So you start with 45 characters. Okay. So the first 35 through, they go forward and like 10 are eliminated. Well, actually, the reason I started looking was because I saw a tweet. Somebody had retweeted from the developers of the game who were saying, so they were having trouble with keeping their servers up initially because it was like, it's obviously been so popular.
Yeah.
People were leaving. They were being hit with like really bad reviews on Steam because people were just getting really angry and nasty.
Okay.
And they were like, I saw this tweet and they were like, we're really sorry. We are trying our best. We're like increasing server, blah, blah, blah. Please don't leave us horrendous things. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds horrible. Gaming community, stop it. And then I'm like, but what is this game? So actually, it sort of worked because it made me go and have a look at Steam and go, oh, that looks hilarious. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. Like, there's a lot of YouTube videos out at the moment with it.
I've actually been starting my WoW streams with Fall Guys just to kind of get myself warmed up because it's fun. Like, I don't think I would want to play for hours and hours, but just go for a couple rounds and however far I get, I love it. Like, it's fun, like getting that like last second win. Like I had one where someone was actually trying to block me at the gate, and funny thing though, I got around them, and as soon as I went through, the round was over. So they got eliminated. So yeah, so like there's a little bit of like people around you will like push you around, or like you might actually push somebody because you're trying to get through stuff, or like people like move you off.
Get out of the way! I'm coming through.
And like someone like you're on a rolling pin and you're trying to stay on it, and like someone will like try to push me off. Like nope, you're not gonna get me off. Somebody else actually tried to do that, and they then fumbled. They fell off. I'm like.
Okay, yeah, all right. I see it here. I'm just looking it up on my phone. So yeah, $20 on Steam. That sounds like a
that sounds like I could probably find $20 for, definitely.
It is so good, and I love what the developers are doing. Like their social media marketer has been working their butt off. I think I've actually worked with them on another game because there was another game that they graciously gave me to play on launch. So when this came out, I was like, I'm buying this game. I'm buying this, like these developers, and yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun. So definitely check out Fall Guys. It's different. I want to praise as much as I can of this game because I love different and a game that's not shooting. Again, I'm not against guns in games, but it's fun being different.
Well, and I'm really bad at first-person shooters. I don't like I don't like that first-person view anyway. It makes me feel slightly nauseous. And I'm just not good at them. It's not my thing.
How did each of you get into gaming?
So my mother's a software engineer. She's worked for the Ministry of Defence in the UK.
Wow.
But she got a computing science degree in like 1973, which as a woman was kind of an amazing thing to do. And then she worked for the Ministry of Defence, and then she worked for some other companies writing the software that flew Harrier jump jets. Or testing the software that flew Harrier jump jets.
Pretty cool.
She's pretty cool. I mean, in that respect, she's pretty cool.
Present giving, not so much.
Her present giving leaves stuff to be desired. But I mean, so we always had computers in the house. Even I've got vague memories of like a 3, 4, 5-year-old child. We had a BBC microcomputer in the house, and it used to have. So it had the old like Pong like tennis game, which I learnt to play when I was about 3. and it had a game called Bumblebees, which was basically Pac-Man, but with bumblebees.
Nice.
Awesome.
And so I learned to play that when I was like, 3, 4, 5 years old. When I was 7, she bought a 500 plus. So she brought it home and we set it up, and she taught me how to use a mouse. I'm 40, so I was 7 in 1987, so wasn't that common to have. Well, it was getting common, but it's like, it's not, you kind of think 7 years old and you're learning to use a mouse. Like, yeah,
that's like sort of having VR systems now. Like, they're about, but they're not terribly common.
Terribly common.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1987, she brought home an Amiga 500 plus, and she taught us how to use a mouse, and that was it then, basically. So we had Lemmings when it first came out, like the original Lemmings. We had like all sorts of, like all of those kind of like classic games. There was a game called Bubble Bobble, which most people remember from being an arcade game, but there was a port for the Amiga. Then in 1991, she and her work colleagues got into, in their lunch hours, a game called Eye of the Beholder. So Eye of the Beholder is one of the first ever computer RPGs that use the advanced Dungeons and Dragons rules. So it was made by Westwood Studios and TSR and Strategic Simulations Incorporated. So it was like a first attempt at doing a D&D, but on computers. And she and her colleagues got into it. They used to get together at lunch at work, and one of them would drive and the rest of them would, like, it's very D&D kind of puzzle solving. So there's like murdering stuff, but there's also kind of puzzles and you have to figure stuff out. And in about, so late 1991, she kind of thought I would probably enjoy it. So she bought a copy for home, and that was it. I've been an RPG convert ever since. I played through the original Eye of the Beholder. I must have completed that game hundreds of times. There's a port of it. There's a DOS box port of it sitting on my desktop right now. From so Eye of the Beholder 1, then Eye of the Beholder 2 came out, and I played, like, Eye of the Beholder 2 was amazing. We played all of that so many times. Eye of the Beholder 3 was rubbish because Westwood Studios parted company with SSI at that point, and Westwood Studios went on to make Lands of Lore, which was amazing. So I played all of the Lands of Lore games. Some point in this mix, Baldur's Gate came out, so I played Baldur's Gate, and then that's it. I've just basically been a big RPG fan. Then I went to university and I stopped playing computer games. Kind of figured I should probably, having got to university, probably actually get a degree. I went to quite a good university in the UK, and I paid a certain amount of money for it, so I kind of felt like, obviously not by American standards, actually, because your university system, actually, now I come to think of it, your university system much more expensive than ours. But there was money involved. I figured I should probably get a degree, so I gave up computer games for a while, and then in about 2008 I was living with some people who got me into Oblivion. So then suddenly, and Oblivion was just everything I wanted in a computer game. And so I played Oblivion, I played it to death. I was like, but I did Oblivion, I played it through to the point where I was head of the Mage Guild, head of the Fighters Guild, head of the Thieves Guild, and I love in Elder Scroll games. You can just be, like, by the time you finish it, you can just basically be God, and you're just like wandering around. Like, I'm in charge of everything. Like, you wander into the Fighters Guild and they're like, oh, your chest with the gold is over here, madam. And I was like, thank you very much. You wander into the Mages Guild and they're like, we did all this stuff. And you're like, awesome. And then at night you wander into the Thieves Guild and they're like, yeah, we love you too. It's kind of amazing. So I played that, and then I went back and played some other Elder Scrolls stuff. I played a little bit of Morrowind and other bits and pieces. And then on the 1st of January 2009, my then boyfriend dumped me on New Year's Day.
Ooh.
Asshole.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy fucking New Year. And obviously EJ had been trying to convince me to play WoW for a while. So I rolled a character.
It's great. We had quite a drunk conversation. We were at a party and she sidled up to me. In fact, I think I sat on the floor.
You were sitting on Fran's sofa. I was sitting on the floor.
Oh, okay. And she was like, so, tell me about World of Warcraft. And I was like, excellent. I've got another one. So I'd already, like, as soon as you said it, I'm like, well, she'll play a Night Elf Druid. I know she will. I can't remember. I'm sure I just cut to the chase and I was telling you about the Night Elves anyway.
I can't remember. You were like, you'll want an elf of some description. I was like, yeah, of course I want an elf. Like, I always play an elf. I'm very elf-orientated.
Let me tell you about druids.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know really which class to play. And you're like, well, you can play a class where you can turn into a cat. And I was like, sold! I never play feral, ever. I'm rubbish at it. But it was an attractive proposition from
and it's going to be attractive with like some of the amazing customizations you're adding into Shadowlands. I've already seen some really cool druid stuff.
Yeah. That's my potted history. And that was 2009 that I got into World of Warcraft. So that's quite a long time ago.
Wow. And EJ, so being the one that brought Raven into WoW, when did you start gaming?
I remember the first games that I tried were at school on an old BBC computer with tapes when you had to load on tapes, and it would take you the best part of 45 minutes to load it, and then at the end of that you probably got about 15 minutes of gameplay before, and it was all sort of text adventure stuff before there's like, right, that's your session over. You're like, brilliant, that was amazing.
The Bumblebee game was on tape.
Oh, yes. Financially, we weren't in a position to have access to sort of anything until I got to university, and people sort of got me into things like Lemmings. I played so much of Lemmings. Oh my goodness! And then when I moved out, Sims got me my first actual computer, and I've always loved questing games. Anything where I've never been keen on anything where I have to do too much fighting.
Yeah.
Can you solve this problem? I need to go and do this thing. So anything that was sort of quest-based, I used to do.
Did you play The Secret of Monkey Island?
Yes. I love Monkey Island.
Such a great game.
I was trying to think about what I did before I started, or like in between when I was playing Eye of the Beholder. So yeah, Monkey Island was a big thing.
Monkey Island, Myst. I spent a lot of time playing Myst.
And Riven and Exile. Myst. Oh, love that. And that first Discworld game that was with the Eric Idle.
When he used to knock on the screen if you went AFK. Hello.
What are you doing?
I played all the Discworld games, including the one where you turn into a wolf and you have to detect things through smells, and the smells are done by different colour patterns on the screen. So you're like, hello, I'm a wolf, sniff, sniff. Oh, this is sort of purple, that means this. And I'm like, okay, we'll just go for it, why not?
Bounced off that one pretty hard.
I did complete it. That was not the best out of the Discworld ones.
No, I didn't get through that one. You're better than I am. I didn't.
And then a friend of mine managed to get a copy in Europe when World of Warcraft first came out. And obviously they didn't do a very big print run. Did you just say print run? They didn't produce a lot of copies. I'd managed to get a hold of one, and I would be visiting his housemates, who was my best mate, or is one of my best mates.
Still is, yeah.
And I would find both of us we'd start talking, but we would both be watching his screen. He was playing on a laptop, and we'd realise that we'd stopped talking, or we'd just staring. And he had rolled a Night Elf rogue. So it's all through Teldrassil and Darnassus, and then going into Ashenvale, and more we found that we were just sort of watching what he was doing. It's like, what's that there? And what's that? And what's that? And who are those? And what is that? And then one day he went on a flight point and sort of flew over it. I'd just not seen anything like that. And it was like, this is incredible. So the next thing I knew, my friend Karen, who I was visiting, she was like, so I might have, when they finally released a second run in Europe, got a hold of it. And she was like, so in the box, there's this 10-day free. Do you want it? And I was like, well, I could give it a go, couldn't I?
16 years later, that's kind of that.
That's where that started. As they say, the first hit is free.
Yes.
So, yes. I've done all sorts of different things during that time. I've never had a break. There are some times where I play less than, interestingly, over the last few months, since we've been in quarantine, I've played less. And I think that's been a sort of, there's two things that, because of that. Animal Crossing, obviously.
Oh, yes.
But also, I think this sort of I've been furloughed, so having all of this time available has sort of been a bit weird, and I've been quite restless with it. So actually sitting down and wanting to play WoW for an hour or two, actually sometimes it's just felt too much. But I think I feel like I'm over that hurdle again. I think the alpha and the beta really helped with that. So yes, that's where I'm at. Zelda games also. For a long time, we had, Karen and I, again, we had this Tuesday night ritual where we used to go around to our friend's house who had a purple GameCube. We played so much. We played Mario and Spyro and Pikmin. Pikmin is hilarious. So yes, so I'd sort of held off for a long time getting a Switch when Breath of the Wild was out. And I was like, well, I really want to play Breath of the Wild, but I don't want to buy a Switch just for Breath of the Wild. But obviously now, Katamari you can get on the Switch, and Animal Crossing, so I have plenty of reasons now for having a Switch.
Fall Guys is on Switch as well, if I understand.
Oh. Now, do I get it here or do I get it there? Oh, now I've got decisions.
There should hopefully be crossplay in the future, which would be great, because
Wow.
just like in WoW, WoW needs cross-region. Again,
That's the one happy and sad thing about Alpha and Beta, is it's given me the opportunity, or has given us the opportunity to play with our fellow contributors to Warcraft Radio, because most of them are in North America. And so normally we don't get the chance to group up and do any gameplay with them. And that's sort of the one big thing that Warcraft, I think, is missing at the moment.
Yeah.
So both of you are like, I would probably say best friend because you're always talking to each other every week, and you're podcasting every week. You've got a podcast about a game called World of Warcraft. I keep hearing about it. I should play this at some point.
I've heard it's quite popular.
I have too, and I think there's an expansion coming out next week. Next week,
Shadow something.
Yeah. So, what is Girls Gone WoW for those who might not know?
Girls Gone WoW was founded originally by Syl, now of Whispers of War podcast, in December 2010. At the time at which Syl founded GGW, we were all in the same guild. And so EJ was a guest very, very early on, like show 3 or show 4 or something like that.
6.
Show 6. And I was a guest, like maybe show 10 or something like that. Format kind of settled down, eventually became co-hosts with Syl and Rob for quite a long time. And then somewhere along the way, we sort of, Syl moved away from what we were doing, though she had some stuff come up in real life. Just didn't have the capacity to continue. So we kept it going. So it's a podcast. We've just recorded episode 430.
430, yeah.
Wow, that is an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, so we're a very community-focused podcast. I think we are very, very proud of our community. We have a lot of community input. So the first half of our show, we do Week in WoW, where we talk about things that we've been doing in the week, much like we've just been doing here. But then we also have our listeners contribute to our Week in WoW. So we've got a couple of people who send us voicemails, and other people put stuff on our Discord or send us emails, other kind of contributions that we put into the show. So the first half of the show is full of listener content and what everybody's been up to. The second half of the show, we usually have a guest, and that guest sets a topic and we talk about a particular topic. And then again, our listeners weigh in on the topic of the week, whatever it is. So we had one where we talked about what mythic affects would you get rid of and would you add as your, like, if you could make one up. We've talked about, we did an introduction to lore last weekend. So it can be anything. We've talked about all kinds of things. We've had like cosplay episodes. We've had episodes about RP, PvP less often because we're not good at PvP. Pet battling, transmog, current story, raid tier, like anything. So we get guests on most weeks and they talk about the thing that they are passionate about. We were referring a little bit earlier in this show to Matt Rossi of Blizzard Watch. So this coming Sunday, Rossi is guesting on the show for the third time, intending to talk to him about mythological influences in the World of Warcraft. So that's going to be really cool. And then next week, Joe Perez, who is also a big friend of the show, is coming on, and we're going to talk to him all about Sylvanas. So we're going to get a bit of Sylvanas primer from Joe coming into Shadowlands. So that's pretty cool. we, as well as the podcast, so we record, so we're part of Warcraft Radio. We record on a Sunday evening UK time, about midday Pacific, on Warcraft Radio, twitch.tv/Warcraft Radio. You can come and watch live, be in the chat room. As well as the podcast, we also have a big Discord community where, so we've got a EU and a North American raid teams, and also there's Mythic Plus teams. So we've got 1 and a bit Mythic Plus teams in the UK and 2 solid Mythic Plus teams in the North Americas. So it's a big community effort, and I think we're one of the longest running, certainly the longest running EU, and one of the biggest kind of community podcast efforts, I think, around.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. I will go to your Discord and be like, message. It's amazing. I'm like, wow, you have done an amazing job.
Yeah, although actually most of my Discord traffic at the moment is in the flipping Animal Crossing channel.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh,
I did ask before I made the Animal Crossing channel.
Did ask before you made the Animal Crossing channel. Every morning I log in. Is anybody talking to me in general? No, it's just people in the Animal Crossing channel. Do you have this recipe? I've got a villager who wants to move out. Can you take my villager?
Raven.
Have you got a villager that I can steal from you? This villager trading weird thing is odd.
Raven,
Yes.
Bangle is moving out today.
No. What did you do to Bangle?
Bangle loves me very much, but she wants to go and try and be a pop star somewhere else.
okay.
And Bangle is my favourite Animal Crossing character, and she's basically like the personification of of Spoon, a cat that we used to have. She's so excited about everything, and Spoon Cat used to be like, you could show Spoon Cat the same thing over and over, and he would be
Spoon
as
was hilarious.
excited about it every single time.
Spoon also used to routinely get lost in the upper
Yes.
stories of the house. So
Yes.
he'd be sitting downstairs and Spoon would suddenly get very distressed on the, I was going to say on the first floor. Dear Americans, we have a ground floor. Okay, so the first floor is what you would call the second floor. So Spoon would be like up the stairs and he'd get like really, really, really upset that he couldn't see anyone. And you'd have to like call him downstairs. And then eventually he'd like wander downstairs and he'd be like, oh, God, you're here.
Yeah.
And then he
was
was very excited.
Special. So yeah, so it's quite an emotional day for me. So the only plus point, the reason I let Bangle move, this is very important. I'm sorry, I know we're World
All right,
Warcraft,
yeah,
but
Go on.
so Bangle was one of my starting villagers, and they don't give the starting villagers their proper houses. They give them horrible starting houses.
Oh.
So my plan is to let Bangle move away, and then as soon as possible get Bangle to move back, and then she'll have a proper house, because her starter house doesn't have a bed in it.
What?
I know, and I've given her so many beds, and she's sort of put them in storage and not put them out. So she's not had a bed for 2 months. So,
She's tired.
I know,
Yeah.
she's tired.
Although-
She's like,
Although, if she's a cat, she can just sleep anywhere.
That's true.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, maybe I should have just given her a cat basket.
Yeah, cat basket
Yeah.
would be good.
So
Stuff
yeah,
like this is why I've been back and forth getting a Switch, and because it's out of stock, and like in the finances, I'm not gonna to get one, and I go back and forth. Like I love the Switch, and stuff like this is why I'm just like, part of me wants it, part of me's like, you have enough stuff.
like I've paid sort of, I think virtually every version of Animal Crossing that's come out. So yes, as soon as I saw it was on the Switch, I was like, and it was conveniently just before Christmas time last year that this announcement came out, and my lovely husband was like, I think I know what to get you for Christmas.
Nice. And I've been loving watching it. Like one of the streamers I watch, Biggest Bennis, has been playing Animal Crossing like almost every stream, and I love watching it, even if I'm not playing it. It's just so enjoyable to watch.
It's very relaxing and peaceful.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you can just run around and talk to your villagers, or do a bit of fishing, or catch some bugs. And if you're feeling very enthusiastic, you can dig your island up, put streams everywhere, and because that's the terraforming is the new thing that came this time round.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What is it like as a creator to get feedback from your fans?
Well, see, sometimes it's great. Like most of the feedback we get is great, and
Most.
people enjoy what we're doing, and it's fine.
And I think it's helped both of us take compliments a bit more. I still find it a bit odd, but I think it's definitely helped.
BlizzCon last year was really weird. So on the first day, we were wandering around BlizzCon, and suddenly, like, we're sitting, like, by the fountain in the iconic place, and suddenly, like, Tosh Mifune and Talib are like,
yes!
Each and we're like, oh my god, it's Tosh Mifune and Talib, and that was kind of
awesome?
amazing. Yeah, they were so amazing. They were just the most wonderful people, and we had them. So we did 6 shows whilst we were like on holiday last year at various kind of times in various places, and we had them come to our hotel room and do one of the shows with us, and it was like really amazing. And that was like, it was like, oh my god. But we're just like wandering around the venue on like the first evening, and like somebody like walks up to us and is like, hey, you're EJ and Raven. And we're like, hello. And he's like,
what did we do?
Ultra Mecha Jeff. And he's like, we've been listening to your show for years. And it's like, and we were like, whoa, okay. That's really nice. That's like really kind of like really, really amazing. And I was like standing talking to somebody at the Con Before the Storm, and then Daryl from Training Dummies was like, hey, Raven. And I was so jet lagged at this point. I was like, hello. Hi. Have a badge. And he gave me a badge, and I was like, oh, it's Daryl. Shit, I'm really sorry. I'm really jet lagged right now. That was really cool. Really enjoyed that. Like, people do occasionally send us less complimentary things. And actually, this is the thing that I've been dealing with at work recently with reference to other stuff that's going on in the world. Like, a whole bunch of our staff have been giving us feedback, giving the management team feedback about other things that's going on in the world. And it's just kind of like, sometimes you just need to take a breath. I think it's really important to realize that everything that people tell you is useful, even if you don't agree with it. Because sometimes people say things and you're like, no, that's not true. And it's like, objectively, it might not be true, but that's how that person is feeling your whatever right then. Like, this is their emotional reaction to what you're putting out. And it might, like, an our show, honestly, is not for everyone. It's massively chaotic. I was looking at our iTunes reviews a couple of days ago, and there's somebody who's given us like 3 stars and is like, the hosts interrupt each other all the time, and they just kind of and it's really annoying. And it's like, yeah, it probably is. Because I've just read that feedback, I was kind of noticing that we were doing it a little bit even now. It probably is really irritating, but it's also kind of part of how we are. Like, we've been friends for a lot longer than we've been recording a podcast together. So even in 2009, when EJ was introducing me to Girls Gone WoW, we'd known each other for 3 years, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
It's a bit chaotic and it's not hugely professional, and most of our listeners really enjoy the kind of chaos and the sort of spontaneous nature of it. And we usually say it's like coming down the pub with us, and it is like coming down the pub with us. But it's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. If you want to listen to Convert to Raid, then you might not want to listen to us. Like, if you want a very polished audio experience and you want to listen to high-end people doing high-end stuff, that's probably not, like, you know, that's not our show. And that's fine. I think you've got there's space for everyone. And we know that people listen to our show because we can see the numbers every week. So, you know,
absolutely.
There's space for everyone. Sometimes people tell us things and you're like, yeah, okay, we could do that. Like, we could make an improvement there. We could make things better. And we have tried really hard to improve our audio quality and improve the kind of quality of our sort of Twitch experience. And actually, yet again, here I am on a Squadcast thing, and I'm like, Squadcast.
It is nice, I gotta say. Every time I move this show to Squadcast, I like what Cap says. High end does not mean good.
No, I'm sitting looking at some various things on the Squadcast thing, and I'm like, actually, that would be really useful. So maybe we should give that a go. And I think I said this when I was on the other show we were on the other show that you do, like 4 months ago, something like that.
Oh wow, yeah, it has felt like. I can't remember like the past 4 months, but yeah, you're right. Over on Stories as well, we were on Squadcast.
Yeah. Squadcast, and I was like, even then, I was like, maybe we should give that a go. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we should give that a go. And we're always interested in those kind of improvements. But I think what you get with Girls Gone WoW is a very authentic experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you come to the pub with us, then this is what you get.
That's one thing I've always admired is you both exude confidence. Because I'm sure there are days that like you have doubts in your head, but you exude like you are like
the most fucking hilarious thing you have ever said to two people who suffer from massive depression and anxiety. So thank you very much.
I look up to you. Back when I was like I wasn't podcasting, but you were one of the first shows that I started listening to, and I was like, I want to be like them. I want to be like EJ.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Frazley, thank you.
I've listened to you for years.
And we fucking love you for that. I don't think we've ever made any secret of the fact that we both suffer from like huge amounts of anxiety and depression, and we talk about it because it's a real thing. So we talk about it relatively frequently on the show, because what we want you to get from the show is the real us. And like when you come to the pub with us, it's exactly like this. And you did come to the pub with us. You had dinner with us at BlizzCon.
Oh yeah, and it was like this. Like we were at a table. I mean, it felt like this. I mean, it felt like we were at a table. I forget what we were discussing.
That's pretty much. Yeah, I mean, so one of the shows that we did from our hotel room during BlizzCon was we basically ordered Chinese food, and it was ourselves and Toshi.
So Toshi Talib.
And Salmis and Marie. Was that everyone? That sounds like everyone.
Oh, Joe Hogan.
Joe. Sorry, Joe. And for some reason, in my head, I was trying to put the Geek Card people there, and obviously they weren't there.
No, they weren't.
So that's weird. We all had food and drinks, and we put the microphone in the middle of it, and everyone sort of in between eating their Chinese was like giving their feedback. So literally, the show is like coming out with us. Like, we wanted somewhere that people felt really comfortable, because sometimes in gaming, it's not a comfortable environment. We are very much, we like to call it hashtag team positive.
Yes.
So we like to keep things as positive as possible. Even if we don't like something, we won't say, oh, we don't like it, but it's okay. We'll be like, oh, well, this is why we don't like it. But obviously some people do like it, but it's not for us. Because sometimes I've listened, certainly at some points in WoW's history, and you listen to some podcasts and they're just talking rubbish about the game constantly, or they aren't playing it at all. Well, I found it took the shine off my WoW experience. Yeah, and I didn't really understand. It's like when you get those posts in sort of forums and stuff, and they're like, this game is rubbish, I haven't played for years. And you're like,
okay, well, stop
quite sure why you're here.
Exactly. Stop fucking talking to us.
If you're not interested in it, then why are you here? It's fine to not be interested, and it's fine, but I don't understand why you just have to keep railing at it. Go and find something you do enjoy doing and have some joy there.
And it's fair to say that, like, if WoW is in a downturn, sometimes our weeks in WoW are not necessarily weeks in WoW, they're like weeks in other things, because we're always playing a little bit. We're always doing our group content, but like we have like Animal Crossing Corner at the moment, and we have other bits and pieces going on. And so sometimes you're like, okay, well, we're just going to talk about something else for a little bit, and then we'll come back to the topic or whatever. But do I feel like Blizzard have made 100% like great decisions in Battle for Azeroth? No.
No. Yeah. No.
Maybe some of this is not their finest hour, and I'm not as engaged at this end game as I have been previously, but that's fine. There's plenty of other stuff going on in the world. I mean, the world is a dumpster fire right now. Don't get me started. But like, there's plenty of other games going on, and we can hear from people about other stuff they've been doing. And I think sometimes people don't like our show because it's quite rambly, and we talk about our cats and my horse, and we talk about like other stuff that's kind of going on. It's very much a kind of authentic community experience, but we don't want to spend 2 hours just being like, Blizzard fucked this up, and we just and this is all the reasons why we think Blizzard fucked this up. That's not us.
I've definitely been like feeling the same way that you feel. Like, I'm trying to be objective, but I'm always trying to be optimistic too. I mean, even what we just saw, I think we were all taken aback when we saw the news about the underpay. of employees. But I was like, I didn't want to jump on the initial. Blizzard was like, okay. The good news is there's talk. Forbes has come out now that they are working on organizing, and I don't know all the specifics there, but I was waiting to hear. Okay, we got the news. What's going to happen? I didn't want to initially jump on the bashing anybody, and because last year during the layoffs, someone said be careful of hot takes, and that's why I like this team positive. We're not saying that anybody's perfect, but we're trying to find where can we find hope? Where can we find constructive feedback to go forward?
Like, to be honest, we don't get into much of the kind of like, what does the quarterly earning call say? And what does Blizzard, like, if there's something big that Blizzard's done, like around the layoffs, I think we did make some comments.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, we understand that corporate is separate from how individuals feel about gameplay. Like, they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
And we don't tend to comment the corporate stuff.
Yeah, corporations work in a certain way. Corporations are there to make money.
Well, corporations are there to increase shareholder value. That's the purpose of a corporation.
There you go.
I have an MBA.
Blizzard is part of a very big corporation. And we could spend a lot of time talking about what's wrong with corporations, but I think we would just make ourselves feel rubbish.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other ways for talking and supporting and dealing with situations like that, but basically that's out of our control at the moment. But we're not denying that it happens. But actually here is a corner where, as March 2020 has been so long, this is a couple of hours when you can come along and we will try and be happy and cheerful about stuff.
Absolutely.
Because we all need those moments at the moment, especially at the moment. I don't need to be reminded that I've been in the house since March. Like,
me either. Like, it's one reason why I love podcasting and streaming and listening to podcasts and stream, because it is that it's nice to get away. I told somebody, we used to always say don't escape into games and stuff, but no, it's there to give you a release from the tension of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And I have had an amazing time tonight. Like, you have brought up so many amazing memories of like your friendship, your community. One thing that I always love asking creators, what advice would you give someone wanting to get into podcasting?
Oh, just do it. Do it.
Okay. Do it. Or, like, okay, get yourself a good microphone and a good pair of headphones.
Yeah.
It's a really simple way to have a decent audio quality. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go out and buy really like top end kit. But even if you start with, like, say, the Blue Yeti Snowball, that's what I started with. Also, I was quite broke at the time, but it gave me great quality. I did manage to upgrade at some point, but just make sure you get yourself. And this is what we say to our guests, especially if they've never been on a podcast before. It's like, anybody can come and talk to us. If you're interested and you want to come and talk about a topic, then get in touch with us. You can come and do that. But you have to have a good headset and a good microphone. And some of the ones on headsets are enough. You don't have to have a separate microphone. Just make sure it produces good quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mostly just do it. Just give it a go. And these days, I mean, when we were podcasting 10 years ago, it was kind of complicated to work out where you needed to upload it and where you needed to, like, how you were going to distribute it. And you had to do feed burner stuff. And there was stuff with iTunes, and there was, like, all... If you go to these days, services like Anchor, podcast.co, or like there's loads of services now where you can just take an MP3 file, you can upload it, it will do all of the work for you. Actually, really straightforward. So pick a service, either, I mean, there's loads of them out there, but Anchor or podcast.co are two of the kind of leading services, and they'll just kind of make it all happen for you. They'll put you on iTunes, they'll put you on Google Podcast, they'll put you on Stitcher, they'll put you on all of the places where you want to be, with really doing very little of the work. So yeah, good microphone. You can record in Discord. You can just record straight into Auphonic. You can, like, so not Auphonic, Audacity. Auphonic's really good for just smoothing out the sound.
Oh, it is. I use that on practically all my work.
Yeah, but you don't need to spend megabucks. And if you're using a hosting service, you don't actually need to, like, we had a website for ages and was reasonably kind of complex kind of keeping that going, but I've been an IT manager for a while, so it's not a problem for me, but it was quite technical. You don't need to do all of that. You can record on Discord, you can use a service to upload everything. Just do it. Have a go. See how it goes.
And like one that I've seen, I know it's at least on iOS, and I think some of the Android is like, I know Demeanor has been doing Twitter audio messages. So even if you want to get comfortable, just start doing an audio message to Twitter. I mean, at some point, I'd recommend moving it to a podcast feed, but even just to get past that initial confidence. Yeah. Yeah.
Or try and appear on other people's podcasts. Like if you want to have a go at seeing whether you think like it's the thing that you want to do, if you are interested in World of Warcraft, hit us up. We'll like anybody's welcome on our podcast. We will like totally so Tosh Mifune, he kind of made his podcasting debut, I think, on our show. Like a load of other people have podcasted for the first time on our show. We've given them a platform. They've come and talked to us. They've had a nice time, and then they've decided to do their own show. That's, we're happy to do that. There's lots of other people that are happy to just have anybody be a guest, come in, give it a go, see how you feel. You can listen to it afterwards, see how you sounded. Somebody else will do the hard work. Like, give it a go. Jump in.
I'm the same way. That like I started on All Things Azeroth, and I'm willing to have anybody come on here. I mean, as long as the person's not a jerk. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining me tonight. There was so much great discussion tonight, and I loved hearing your history and all that. And I cannot wait for the day that Girls Gone WoW reaches episode 1,000, because like
that might be a thing. Who knows?
Oh no, it'll be a thing. Because by then we'll have like Gnomeregan. It'll be reclaimed as a city.
It better be by then, or I'm storming Blizzard.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you. No one ever defends me on Gnomeregan. I'm like,
well, that's because they're wrong and they don't understand the best race in World of Warcraft. I'm like, how amazing do we look? All invincible, just the best.
Yes,
just the
absolutely. Best. So adorable and all that. And I lost my thought. I had a thought.
That's because you were thinking about gnomes and how amazing we are.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Thought.
I was just daydreaming. So, where can we find you both on the interwebs?
Show information is all at girlsgonewild.net, which will actually land you up on Warcraft Radio these days. But yeah, girlsgonewild.net will take you to our show page. We are at GGW Show on Twitter. The Discord, if you go to girlsgonewild.net/Discord, that's working again now. So girlsgonewild.net/Discord will get you the invite to our Discord server. Discord is really where it's at now. So I would recommend coming and hitting us up there if you want to see what we're all about. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Silky Raven.
And I'm on Twitter at _EJ.
Activating customized orchestrated transporter.
Well, I am back at Mom of Ironforge until we one day reclaim Gnomeregan.
Wow, I'm a gnome.
Let's look at what has been happening in the community.
Awesome, let's do that. Runs for the Unencrypted Voidwing are happening right now. Follow at FriendshipMount on Twitter to find out when the runs happen. Get your AOTC before the Unencrypted Voidwing takes flight with the Shadowlands pre-patch. Each group is raising money for different charities. Perky Pugs raised over $10,900 for Rain last month. I couldn't yet find out what charity they are raising money for in August, but I'll let you know as soon as I do. Our good friend and fellow warrior Desmophisto is doing weekly AOTC carries. Horde on Saturdays and Alliance on Sundays starting at 3 p.m. Pacific until Shadowlands releases. This past month, they raised money for the Joyful Heart Foundation. They raised over $5,300 and they want to spread the love around, so this month they're going to be raising money for ASAN. And then Cogspring had brought to my attention the Tournament of Ages, an annual event held on Moonguard in the Argent Tournament grounds with lots of our peers in booths and vendors in duels. Well, I was not aware that they were also raising money for a charity as well. This week they raised over $10,000 for Wildlife Warriors USA. And in the past, they raised over $1,000 for Make-A-Wish in 2016, over $1,000 for the USO in 2017, $2,325 for Direct Relief in 2018, and over $4,019 for Comic Relief. Awesome job, my friends. And then Zeka, who made Frazley's avatar, has a new series called The Pride of Gnomeregan, with some amazing gnomes on display. And then Zelly says that they recommend @DatMooBoy, who has made an amazing commission of 2 Worgans dancing. Oh, I love it. And then Wowhead brings to our attention a Nyaloth the Hunter's tier set concept art by Sirkin Ozyurt. And then Nida on Twitter has a gorgeous bit of WoW art of a romantic embrace. And then Souza has a commission for Elixir, and they say it's done in the old style, and it looks amazing. I say amazing a lot, but it's true. All this art that I see is amazing. And then Charm is back with another Warcraft song called Remember Theramore, and they say it's inspired by Christy Golden's book, Tides of War. Now, out of art and into video, Icy Veins reports that IK Edit, who has made other cinematics, is back with a cinematic trailer showcasing the action of WoW esports. It's really cool seeing the sport in such a unique flair using cinematic angles. I'd love to be able to spectate and see movies like this. It reminds me of those dramatic sports movies that we've been seeing over the last decade. Hey, esports is a real sport, so I love this. And then Wowhead reports that Preach held a Shadowlands roundtable with a bunch of different members in the community who all shared their thoughts on the upcoming dungeons. The VOD of that is up now. And then I've got some new podcasts to mention. Aspects of Lore, a group of passionate Warcraft lore enthusiasts discussing the world of Azeroth. Then there is Casually Casual Cast, a World of Warcraft podcast for those who are hardcore about not being hardcore, hosted by Raina Swiftstage and Eva Chats. They say come for the Warcraft news, but stay for the RP forum reading. And then Wow What the Bell, a World of Warcraft and Animal Crossing crossover podcast. Here we talk about all things related to our favorite games as it pertains to our real-life debacles. And then Icy Veins reports that Pandemia is following in the footsteps of Double Agent and leveling to 120 as a neutral Pandaren by only using herbalism and mining. Pandemia is now at level 85. And finally, Icy Veins reports that Reckful is now a rogue trainer in the Stormwind Cathedral in the Shadowlands. I won't spoil what happens when you interact, but what happens made me cry when I found out.
This has been another awesome episode of FrazlCast. Take it away, Frazzle Pants.
Thank you, Scruffy. Well, I was a guest on 2 podcasts this week, 5.5 reviewing Spy Kids, and let me say that I was surprised by my response to this movie of my childhood. And then I was on Geek Caring with Monica talking about some of the latest news. Thank you both for having me on your podcast. I had such a great time. And then Sunday night, I found out that Taliesin and Evantel, 2 people I admire greatly, mentioned me at the end of the latest weekly reset. I am beyond honored to be included and thank the both of them for this. I didn't expect it, and I'm beyond words to be recognized by 2 amazing people. Thank you. And then in shoutouts, Sai commented on my Zol Grove fail on YouTube saying, I approve of this scrub moment. And then on episode 152 of Be Great Today, Don't Leave Without Your Burger, Onyx Angel said, I think I needed to hear this. Thank you. Thank you for the YouTube comments. And then Raina was listening to episode 170 with Joe Hogan and said, excellent and fun conversations. I love the variety of topics too. Thank you, Raina. And then during one of the trivia nights, someone gave their trivia prize to Hottie Chicken, who just got her Brie Awesome sticker and sent me a picture of it. It was awesome. And speaking of YouTube, I'm still working on getting my YouTube channel up to 100 subscribers. We are at 75 right now, and I've been adding Be Great Today as a full video there, along with clips from Twitch and the podcast episodes in video form. And I've got some more ideas coming on videos to make for the channel. So please help me get to 100. It would be awesome. And over on Twitch, thank you to Harlow and Taro for the gifted subs this week. And every week, in addition to thanking those who give me amazing words of encouragement and different things, I also like to thank those who give back to the show financially. Thank you to my Twitch subs out there. Thank you to Amanda of Geek Caring, Artegan9, Austin of Frank's Hot Sauce Guild, Biggest Bennis, Bodconian, Burkhart, Cap, Cardfreck, Gatta Goodish, Cosmic Valkyr, Crunk, Sai of Scrubs vs. the World, Dave the Hunter, Decay, Demeternoth of the Third Faction Show, Death Mephisto, Elucid91, Epic Insanity of Frozen Nerds, Van Dangley, Fat Bob 1, Fiesta Taco 1983, Gamers Illogical, Haley Onyx, Harlow, Hottie Chicken, Her, Jaded Sixella, Jay, Generic Live, Jedife, John 156, Corinsa, Kawasaki, Lance Blizz Gamer, Leo Wild, Lil Weird, Lomo Geek, Lucas of Cardiac Valley, Mal, Michael of Tuners Maybe More and the Genome Project, Mikey of Rocky Mountain Blizzcast, Monica V. Caring, Natagami, Nemovich, Only Shadowkin, Pandagosa, Pete of Stories Around Azeroth, Phoenix Duet, Professor Awkward, Remedies, Rig of Charactercraft, Rob's Crippling Depression, Sassy Snorlax, Scissorlord, Solana, Spaceboy00013, Spaz Wesson, Tavetos, Taro, Kellenroyd, Vex Scoob, Tom Turtle, Ketelor, Trashella, Valmar83, Valicia, Werewolf Hours, Zorst the Goblin, and Zidewinder. And thank you to Hottie Chickens, Soylent Greener, Trashella, Valicia, and Zach for the bits this week. If you want to support the show financially, please go to support.gnomepodcast.com. And if you have Twitch Prime to Amazon Prime, you can use your free Twitch Prime subscription on my channel and get access to ad-free viewing and awesome emotes. And all of your support goes to helping support this labor of love. Thank you so much. Well, I am Frazley, and you can find the show at gnomepodcast.com. There you can catch past episodes and find out many of the places where you can subscribe to this show and get the Gnome Train coming to you every single week. Well, until next week, be awesome.
FrazlCast is a fan podcast that covers Blizzard games. We are not affiliated with Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. Views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own. Some of the art, music, and sound effects come from Blizzard Games, and they are owned by Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. No copyright infringement is intended. This show is for the community, and it contains contributions from the community. The Gnome Train intro is by Allie of Dungeon Fables and All Things Azeroth. The opening music is by Brandon T. Blaylock. The Gnome Roar is by Jen of Morally Grey Podcast. And the Frazzle Pants bumper at the end is by the Scruffy Druid of Loot Optional and Viral Voice Arts.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.
It's been fun. Farewell!